because there's no reason why you should have balanced trade with every country in the world. It's as absurd as expecting that you, as an individual, have a balanced trade with every commercial firm you deal with. Of course you don't. So the answer, very simply, is these are extremely bad policies, badly targeted, and based on misunderstandings of the underlying problem. That doesn't mean there isn't a problem, but it's not this problem, and it's not going to be solved in the way they set out. And so I think it's basically a disaster. At the end of this, the global trading system will be demolished. Nobody will have security, and the investment won't happen because nobody in business knows what policy is going to be next week, let alone 10 years from now. And the investment horizon for a major investment is at least 5 and often 10 years.
And it takes time also to move manufacturing investments.
Well, that's what I mean.
But I think what's interesting is how you started by saying, what is the goal and will tariffs get to that goal? And that's when I can start to question, what is the goal for Trump and these tariffs? Because he does talk about the debt. Yeah, we're collecting all this money from this, but is it really about the debt? Is it really about, or is it just a power play? Is it he wants to renegotiate? Because even here you're talking about how America has this deficit and China, for example, has this surplus. So they've been able to grow with this deficit that America has. So maybe he's playing on this deficit, on this power of the American economy to be able to then negotiate something. But
well, I think so. Let's separate again. I don't know what's in Donald Trump's mind. Working out how Donald Trump thinks is, for me, basically impossible because it's so alien to me. I think that's true of most economists, but even most people. But you raised two aspects which I think can be so. One is, it's a power play. He likes power. He likes being the center of attention, and the tariffs allow him to attack pretty well every country in the world to get a favorable deal. And a lot of that is clearly the fun of exercising power. I think of it as just like a protection racket. If you're running a protection racket, you do separate deals with everybody, right? Yeah. But then the question is, that's all there is to it. Well, a second element is pretty clearly that he recognizes it's popular because a lot of people have lost their jobs. There are people who will vote for him if they think he's going to bring the jobs back. And by focusing on manufacturing output and protection as the tool, he's going to get those votes. So it's a political play, and it works. I mean, so protection is popular, and that's very targeted in the sort of places in the red states where the collapse of manufacturing has been a very important problem, and it clearly is in the case. So the second reason why it's good politically. But I also think, pretty clear from the way he talks, Trump's understanding of economics is basically zero. So what he thinks is, when I spend money on imports from somebody, that's a loss. That's a loss. I'm spending money and it's a waste, even though I'm getting something for it, but forget about that. And if those people don't spend as much on me, then I'm running on my goods and services, the US, then I'm running a deficit. To him, that's like running a business at a loss, even though it's nothing to do with running a business. He thinks of the trade of countries as like a business. And if the business doesn't sell more abroad than it pays abroad, it's running at a loss. So he wants to run a surplus, a profit in every bilateral relationship. He doesn't think of it like you and me going out to buy things from different shops and so forth. He thinks of it as a business running at a loss. I think that is his vision of the world. So if somebody sells him his country more than it buys from his country, it's a swindler. It's swindling. It's not reciprocal. A reciprocal relationship is one of complete balance. And I think that's actually how he thinks. So I don't think it's a fraud. I think that's how he thinks. He's thought that way for a very long time. From an economist's point of view, it's complete nonsense, but that's how he thinks. And I don't think that is fraudulent because he comes back to it. He also thinks, final comment, that when the US ran a surplus and had very high tariffs in support of that in the 19th century, it did very, very well. And we should go back to that. And so that's a historical perspective. And so he sees the free trading regime as a swindle against America and a loss of the policies that really succeeded. And he thinks he's going to reindustrialize America through these policies. And while I think he's completely wrong, it is in support of a genuine theory that he has. It's just a very peculiar one.